Greetings everyone, I'm RSV. Is Rugged and Kaiser series weapons kind of useless? Let's discuss. People have talked about wanting progression in the game for a while, and people bring up pretty silly arguments for these weapons being good progression, and I'll talk about why that is, and go through why I think these two weapons are kind of useless. Firstly, the main big use I hear for these weapons is farming the weapons in the first place. Now, this is fair if you're farming for Meseta, and it does speed up the Meseta making process, however this isn't a good primary use for them. This should just be considered a bonus of having the weapon, not necessarily progression. This is like upgrading from a Evil Eclipse to a Setchel series weapon because you had Pso2 on the Setchel weapon. Yeah, sure, you'll farm enemies quicker now, but the premise still stands. What can you do now, the Setchel weapon, that you couldn't with the Evil Eclipse weapon? What are you doing that you can't do without a 7-star weapon? Well, the answer is nothing. Everything in the game can be completed without a 7-star weapon. Sure, as I said before, you complete things faster, but who does this really matter to, right? Why do you do content? Why do you play the game? You're not playing it to do it quicker. You're playing it with a goal in mind, not to do it quicker. Doing it quicker is just a bonus, as I have said before. So if there's nothing to do with these weapons, what's the point of getting them? If everything is beatable without the strongest weapons, what's the point of the strongest weapons? I think accessibility should be the other way around. Content should be hard. If content is hard, it should be hard. But the weapons required for that content should be more accessible. But equally, difficult content needs to be rewarding. And well, arguably, no content in the game at the moment ticks off that difficulty box, which means that SEGA can arguably get away with not giving us anything for beating challenges. I think the only time that having something to work towards isn't only to progress is when that weapon is a trophy of sorts. It's a sign that you've beat content that not many other people can. But the Rugged and Kaiser series aren't prestigious at all. Oh, you got a rare drop. Oh, you farmed for 6 weeks. It's not really, oh, you killed that epic boss and managed to get that drop. That drop that only drops from that boss. But more so than the Rugged series weapon, Kaiser is doubly used. Not only is it a grindable weapon that requires other players to be around for it to be grindable, it is weaker than the strongest Rugged weapon. And what do I mean people need to be around to actually obtain Kaiser weapons? If everyone has completed their grind for the Kaiser series weapon or got a Rugged series weapon, no one will be farming ancient enemy, and for the record, if it takes a group of 32 players 15 minutes to kill 8 ancient enemies in some circumstance, how long do you think it will take 1 out of 32 people to kill that same enemy? 16 people might take double the time. A quarter of the people may take an hour. And that makes the requirements for farming that out a lot more ridiculous, and only then in a prestigious state, because you have to actually do hard content that takes time investment, content that is arguably difficult, but that is difficult in a bad way, not a good way. The same applies to Blizzardium, but you can acquire Blizzardium from the vendor and the daily, and the only thing I can say about both resources is I hope they both appear in the event exchange vendor, because if they don't, eventually people are really going to be taxed on those icicle cubes. But I've been RSV. Do you also think that these 7-star weapons are useless? Let me know down in the comments, or am I off completely? But I've been RSV, and I'll see you next time.